Morning, guys. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training in Benzo. Now that I've done 2 or 3 days, we're actually on the 5th day now, of reading the dog, getting a good feel for where his head's at, and taking some things that aren't as direct in regards to, because I'm just getting figured out where his emotional states of mind at, where his head's at. And I've kind of figured that out. We're building a relationship, all that. Notice he didn't go to the ground because I've been doing so much tapping going to the ground, and those hot dogs are one of my rules, so he's already picked it up. And it's not that he won't make mistakes later, but the fact that he saw that hot dog go down, and remember, they chase prey, so a lot of times you'll see trainers using that food toss, right? So it's a very natural thing for the dog to catch that movement, want to go down to it and go get it, right? So that being the case, he's doing, and he's making a decision, and he's not doing it. It tells you a couple things. One, he understands the rule that I've put in, and secondly, that he's understanding what I'm doing. So right now, what I want to do is really make a concerted effort over the next 2 or 3 days, along with the crate and the muzzle we're going to be working on. Yep. To really get him into Benzo. Yep. Good boy. A communication baseboard of no, good, and yes. But where does that come from? Well, it comes from basics in training and marker training and all that, but it's really Michael Ellis's whole method of marker training and how he puts it together and how he's given it to the industry as a whole. Yep. With his videos and everything else on Leoberg. A lot of trainers watch this, and a lot of trainers, the good ones anyway, have some semblance of him behind them in their methods because it makes a lot of sense. It works. Yep, come on. And he's, again, good boy, good, yes. One of the main people in our industry in training that's synonymous with educating the professional trainers. He's got a training school that he's got up in Santa Rosa, and he's hell on wheels. Yep. So anybody like Oscar Moore is a good example, is heavily influenced by that. He's a friend of Forrest Mickey's, who is a accolade underneath Michael, and he's learned from Michael and then taken it to the next level. Forrest is hell on wheels himself. And then Oscar is a good example of that. But there's all kinds of methods and things that are out there, and philosophies and what they call systems. All right, everybody wants to get a system. There's a new guy that's just started a web page on Facebook and went to a police canine event, had his dog out there playing around, being all fancy. He got noticed, he got a write-up in one of the police canine magazines. I don't know what his background is before that, but probably law enforcement. They don't let him in that easy, but it just takes time. But it's interesting. You know, you got Ivan Balabanov, you've got Michael Ellis, you got Tom Rose. I mean, there was a trainer that was going over a whole, and each one of them had their own little systems, right? But reality and truth, training is training. You know, it really is when it comes down to it. But these things accent certain accent points, like NePoPo with Bart Balone, and that accent point of understanding pressure and how you can get a dog to be a lot more drivey using pressure. And he's using stem collars a lot with Bart, but still there's a deeper philosophy behind it. And we call it pressure work, right? Knowing and understanding how pressure can bring up frustration and everything else and get more intensity out of the animal, yep, is the key with that. But it is a system. It's something he's actually, nope. Good. I can't think of the word for it right now, but he's locked it in where if you use his name and NePoPo, this, that, and you start trying to act like you're all that using NePoPo, he's going to come on you. Nope, come on, sit. Come on, sit. Sit, come on, sit. Oh, you don't know sit. You want it down now because he's got, see, you can see where the dog's head goes. Even with 1 day, I just got him doing the down yesterday, and now he's in a down position. Before he was in a sit position and he wouldn't go down. Good boy, good. Nope, nope, good. Down, good, down. Good. He's processing it again. I got to be careful with him because he's got a tendency to want to, he's just on the edge of wanting to go off on me, and he's still processing what's happening to him. So I'm going to take him into a really set pattern sets and things so he really starts to learn and grow with our communication baseboard. And that's what we're going to be working on the next 2 to 3 days. Good boy. Benzo. Yep. Dog's name. Pause, and then an explosion release is where it all kind of starts in that context. Nope. Down. Down. Good. There you go. Good. And when I'm doing that, I'm actually touching his nose. There's his cue, right? Sit. And I don't know where I didn't get that from anybody else. I just did it a natural thing. He doesn't want to sit up. Come on, sit. Come on. Come on. Good. Yes. Good boy. Good. Okay, so that's why no, good, and yes matters, because I can say yes and mark it, and right away he's going to know that's what I want. So we need to build our communication baseboard and get it really distinct with our 3 marker words that we start with. Remember, we can have marker words as we go along to mean all kinds of things. Yep, there's trainers out there doing it with really but it all starts with a no, good, and yes marker, right? So go back to the standards, and I give this all the time, so I'll repeat it again, working with another dog. But each one means something, and usually the terminal bridge marker, yep, is an explosion into drive of some site. It means your behavior is over with, and now you can go into drive. So when I say yes, it's the same as a clicker. So when I go, that's the same thing, right? Click, and then something happens. It's usually into drive. And I start the whole concept for the dog and start conveying the concept to the animal with this explosion release, right? So I have a little distinct difference in the explosion versus just a terminal bridge marker like that one, right? Or yes is what we're going to turn it into. I can't always have a clicker in my hand, but it allows me to have a lot more clarity in the work. Good. And notice when he went into a down, I said good versus the explosion. Why? Because I'm trying to make sure that I teach him the good marker, which is going to turn into what we call a duration marker. So we've got a terminal bridge marker. Good boy. Good. Good. Benzo. Good. And with me, I always give dog's name first with a pause and then into whatever I want him to do, so that I condition the dog's brain to go into gear and to hear his name and know something's coming. And after, with a lot of different things that we're going to do, we end up getting it where he starts to get contextually aware. And he says, in this context, in other words, this pattern that we got going on, this is going to happen, which is nothing more than classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is anticipation and awareness of what's going to come next, right? So a good example of that is to explain it like the mailman. Every day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the mailman comes down the driveway, down the road, and you hear all the dogs barking down the road. Dogs are very contextually aware of time. They may not know it's 2 o'clock. They may not know it's 5 o'clock, but they do understand the time. So when you do things with what I call a timestamp, actually, did I say it right? I don't know. I might be out of context, but I think it's a timestamp on them. Early in the morning, guys. Yep, good. So, good. It'll come to me when I least explain it. But it's a awareness of time and a time level, right? So I can say his name, and then every 10 seconds, whatever it may be, Benzo. Yep. When I keep that same pattern of the pause and then right away the explosion, that's my timestamp, right? That's my awareness of the time that the dog has. And he's very aware of it. And I use it a lot. Good. Good. So I'm really going to concentrate on all the concepts of our 3 words, no, good, and yes. Each one means something different. The terminal bridge marker is always usually going into drive, coming into me. When you see me doing the 2 balls and that kind of thing, I'm letting the dog come back into me. And so that's always the yes marker. The yes, or the terminal bridge marker, is always usually into me. Good. Benzo? Yep. Okay? So he's coming to me. He's coming after the food. He's chasing the food. There's a drive state that he's getting. That's why I say flow, right? And then the other one is the good duration marker. I usually always teach in this context. Good. Get the dog to do it down, and then the food goes to him. So I can start good grounding the dog and taking the food and putting it down between his legs. That's where it all starts. Good. So I want to concentrate on this. I'm not going to start clocking him until I know that he understands these 2 or 3 markers that we're using. No, good, and yes. Sit. Good. Yes. Good boy. Good. Down. Okay, so I want to get a clicker in there to tell him so there's got some clarity in it. Good. Nope. Nope. Good. There you go. Down. Nope. Good. See, now he's starting to learn to get robbed of the food, which is a correction in itself. He's not getting what he wants. So as you let the dog start working, he wants to get what he wants, and you let him figure it out. Sit. Sit. Come on. Nope. Come on. Come on. Come on. Sit. Yes. Good boy. Good. That was leash pressure that did the job for me. I was trying to get body language to work for me, and that didn't work. So then I finally just kind of tapped him with a leash. He sat right up. Good. That's my boy. That's good. That's good. Yay. Now, voice tone. I use that a lot too. Let's keep going through these though. Down. Good. Okay, so the same thing happens. Good. Every time on the table to start. We're trying to convey to him what these words mean. Duration marker. It means you're doing the right thing. Keep it up. Right? So I start that concept being conveyed to the dog so he starts to understand what that means on the table. Okay? Each one is built in that way with me using these tools. Benzo, good boy, good. Benzo, yep, good boy, good. And after a while, he's going to start hearing his name. He's going to know that there's a context of him bouncing off the table. He's going to start anticipating it and doing it early. I'm going to say no. There's my no marker, right? So as time goes along, that no will be associated with not giving him the food, and I'll start saying no when he doesn't do the right thing, and I give the food when he does the right thing. So after a while, he starts learning that no means I'm not going to get what I want. Sit. Good. There you go. Good boy. Come back to my mark. Good. Good. Yeah, good. There you go. That was good. Good. So I'm going to really concentrate on this over the next 2 or 3 days and really get him bouncing. So for you guys that have been watching my videos for so long, this is probably boring. And for anybody that's a trainer that's past these concepts, this might be boring to you. But for anybody that doesn't understand it, hopefully it'll be some use to you. Good. I see you. I see you. Yeah. Good boy. Good. Almost out of hot dogs. So we're going to be getting into 2 or 3 sessions today, and we're going to concentrate. Good. Now, he wasn't down all the way, and I said good early, so that's not a good thing. I want to make sure I get the behavior I want before I give the good marker. Good. Good. Nope. Nope. And there's my no marker. Right away, I came in on no, and after a while, he's going to understand what no means. You didn't do the right thing, do it again. That's what no is. In this context, and me working him, you can have corrections, but we want to have the main nucleus of our communication baseboard of no, good, and yes. So no just means you didn't do it right. I want you to do it again. So you see me pushing him back, getting the behavior that I want, saying no, and he starts to learn, wait a minute, something happened. And again, pattern and routine, again and again, thousands of times we'll do the same thing. And then we'll grow it. We'll grow the dog. We'll get him to understand. Once he understands the concept, I can start growing the dog. Good. Benzo. Good. And notice how sometimes I say the name and then good. It means he's got to pay attention. He's got to listen because he never knows what it's going to be. Good. Benzo. Yep. Good boy. Good. Yeah, you go. And so I'm really being distinct on my pause right now, trying to really tie it in and have the same pause every time so that he learns and grows. All right? Good boy. That's good. There you go. Good boy. I want to keep working with my clicker, so I definitely install the clicker so that I have it to use for later with him, right? With any dog. I always install the clicker with a dog in the very beginning. Yep, because it's a tool that I want to have in my tool bag and to be able to bring out when I want more exactness in my clarity as far as timing, right? And what I'm trying to convey to him. Notice how I put my hand out here like this. Click, food goes to him. It gives him a target. He sees it, and right away he knows it, and then he starts figuring out that when I hear that click, here comes the hand. It's the first way for him to start understanding the concept of what I'm trying to give him, right? Good. Loading the clicker. Good. Do this a million times, he starts to understand. It's classical conditioning setting in. Click means the food is coming, right? And then as time is in the beginning, you see me almost giving food right away. He doesn't understand it. And as time goes along, I start to sense that the dog is understanding what's going on. I'll start making more of a time level between the time I click and then give it to him, okay? Why? Because that's where classical conditioning really sets in. Classical conditioning, remember, is an anticipation of and awareness of what's coming next. And that's what sets it in. So the mailman, back to our mailman. Mailman's coming down the road, and at 2 o'clock, he starts hearing all the other dogs. He gets excited, starts going crazy on the windows, bouncing all over the house, getting anticipatory that the mailman's going to come to the door. Mailman gets to the door, flaps that flip-flap, and puts the mail through the mail slot. Dog goes crazy, eats the mail, but it's always something that happens every day. The mailman's route is 5 days a week. And if you have mail coming to your box a lot, it's going to happen every day. So that ends up setting in classical conditioning. And that's where the behavior could get to be a really bad problem. So you understanding classical conditioning is important when you have behaviors you don't want to start, you don't want them to manifest, and your awareness of it says, I need to make sure that I don't allow this to set in to have the dog go crazy in those areas, right? So how would we do the mailman? We could put him up, put him in a crate before the mailman comes, whatever. There's a lot of little tricks we'd have to do, but the awareness that that behavior could get out of control and go crazy just because classical conditioning will set in, right? Good boy, good, Benzo. Yep, good boy, good, there you go. And he is really looking for understanding right now, because that's where his aggression is coming from insecurity and not understanding. Like yesterday when I put my hand over and I went to go grab his paw, which I'm going to do now, he may flash on the same behavior. I'm going to put him on the dominant dog collar instead of just the pinch, just in case he does get stupid. And I'm going to, if I have to, I'll put him up in the air and you'll see the correction. I don't really want to have to show you that, and I may not expect it, but I want to put my hands in a position that I can put him away from my body and then slide up this leash and keep him away from me if he does go off. So I'm going to get, good boy, good. Good boy, good, there you go, good, there you go, good boy, good. Yesterday when I did this, I was coming down to sweep the dog into a down, and he didn't feel comfortable because I'm all over the top of him. So he went off on me. And you guys didn't see it. I didn't have the camera set up for that one. Good. We're still building trust. He's not sure, but the more I get these communication baseboards set in and everything's always consistently the same, he'll start to lose his apprehension. He'll build some more trust with me, and our relationship will grow to the next level, right? We're at a good spot now, but I want it to grow. We want to grow the dog's whole mental attitude and his understanding of the world around him, and a communication baseboard that can work in conditioning the animal. We're out of hot dogs. Good. We're out. We're done. Good boy. We're done. Yep. Good boy. Good. And this morning when I brought him up, I brought him out, I changed the routine. I went in, pattern routine. I went in with my same leash. I'll put this over my shoulder. I'll go ahead and put the collar on him. I'll put him on the thing. And then right away we go out of the kennel. And usually the last couple days I've been coming right here and working the dog. This morning I got out and I changed that pattern. Mix up, right? I got out and I actually let him go out here and piss and lift his leg on things and enjoy life as a dog, right? And we walked around property a little bit before we came over to work. So the idea is to build up enjoyment of the fact that he's coming out and that companionship with me, which is very natural for the dog, right? He has a want and a need to have pack interplay, right? Yep. Good boy, good. So I don't have no more hot dogs right now. So what I'm going to do is go over here. I notice he has a tendency to be jumping on you all the time. Good. And I don't want him jumping up on me because there's a dominance factor in that. And the family could get away with it, him jumping up on the family and all that. But with him meeting a new stranger, me, and that relationship build between the two of us, I don't want that to happen because I've got to have a certain amount of dominance. When I say dominance, it doesn't mean I need to squash the dog. It just means that I need to be the one that's a little bit more alpha than others, right? So I want to put him back on the pinch. He has a tendency to want to right away get in my lap and do all that, and I'm going to tell him, no, that's not allowed. So it's going to be real fast. It won't be a long one. Good boy, good. There you go. There you go. Move it over to the table where maybe he feels more comfortable just staying on the table than coming over to wanting to jump on my lap. This is all about relationship type stuff here with me. Good boy. And he's a little over the top of me. We don't want it. Nope. Good. Good. So I'm going to move this away so he can't do that. I don't want to give him any opportunity to climb me because there's an emotional dominance factor in regards to that. Depending on the dog, some could, like a Rottweiler or something like that, that's mature, a little bit more stout, I wouldn't want to put my position in these positions at all because it would allow the dog to get to a point where he would, and their emotion, just like me scratching on that ass end, which creates a hormonal reaction, jumping on you is kind of the same type of thing. And they can be in different mental states of mind depending on who it is, etc. But with me, we're building a relationship and I need to have a little bit of a dominant factor in it. Good boy. Benzo? Yep. Come on. Good boy. Yep. Good. That's good. So he jumps up on me. Nope. Come on, Benzo. Come on. Good boy. Good. Here. Good boy. Good. Here you go. I want to nip him back down and I'll stand up real quick so I have total control, I'm not going to get in a position that we're going to have a problem. I like Benzo. He's a young dog coming into himself with a lot of lack of understanding and a lot of missed opportunities to mold and shape that clay, but we'll get there. That's the work we got to do. The first thing you do when I have my dogs come in, most of my dogs are coming in, they're just learning that communication baseboard. Good, that's good. That's my boy, good. So I've got my hand in a position I can nip him down, right? Hey, you, don't get too excited with me. I don't want you excited because you're going to go escalate into aggression. I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah, good boy, good. All right, good. All right, guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. We're going to get, like I said, concerted pattern sets and doing things and very meticulously to make sure I install our main 3 words of no, good, and yes. Yes, or the clicker is the same thing. It's a terminal bridge marker. It means go into drive and usually always coming into me. No is a negative marker, and it's you didn't do the right thing. I want you to do it again. So kind of the same that I'm doing with the table. Nope, and I'm putting him right back into that same position, right? When he breaks and doesn't do the right thing in that regards. That's this first initial understanding of the concept of no, other than being punishment. I mean, most people, the family, are going to no, and they're this kind of thing, and the dog doesn't have really a good set communication baseboard. These things are going to be very consistent and have a lot of structure in them as we build them, right? And then we will grow the dog. You hear me talking about that all the time. Once I get the dog to a point where he understands the main 3 words in the communication of no, good, and yes. No is nothing more than you didn't do it right. I want you to do it again. Yes is your terminal bridge marker, or the clicker means come into drive and come into me. So that's why you see me backing up and letting the dog come into me. That's his first initial presentation of that concept. Remember, you hear me talking about all the time. I'm trying to convey a thought to the dog. And I say it that way because that's what we're doing. We're building a communication baseboard so the dog starts to understand what's going on, and I can use it to keep building the dog and grow the dog, right? This dog has no clue. At this point, he's going to learn fast, so he's very intelligent. He showed that. He's got a little bit of an edge, which is fine. Good boy, good. What you doing, boys, huh? Good boy, good. Yep, come on. We're not going to play ball this morning because I've got to balance that excitement level that he's got. We'll come back a little later, and I might play ball with him. But for this morning, with what he's showing me right now with his attitude, we've got a dog that's basically still checking things out and not totally sure what's going on. Yep. Good boy, good, yep, go, good. All right, we're going to go back to the kennel. All right, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, and Benzo. He's going to learn fast once he gets through this stage. Watch. Talk to you later.